Is Cardano's native token called ADA going to the price of $10 ridiculous? Not for me, because I believe that hypothetically could happen during this bull run, even though that's not financial advice. And there's actually bullish news regarding this. And what is that? We take a look at this article right here, right? Published on November 30th. And has a title stating how is $10 within reach for Cardano? Whale move signals big rally ahead. Now we take a look at this, right? The increase in whale activity during Cardano's latest performance is among the most fascinating features. ADA whales have been rapidly rising their numbers over the last few weeks, particularly following the token's $1 breakthrough, which I predicted, by the way. But even besides that point, according to reports, over 130 million ADA tokens are owned by millionaires, and that exceeds over 3.2 billion. So could you imagine that? That right there is insane. It clearly shows how a lot of whales, they're beginning to believe a lot more when it comes to Cardano's native token called ADA. And I can't really say I told you so, but hypothetically I told you so because I never thought that Cardano was going to be this Kaka layer 1 blockchain. When you have something that's lightning fast, very scalable, also on top of that, very low gas fees, I just don't see why whales wouldn't gravitate towards something like this. And not only just whales, right? I'm talking about even just like the regular, retail individual, let's say. In my opinion, I don't see why this is something that's bad, because a lot of people oftentimes like to say that Ethereum is number one, all this type of stuff. Well, Ethereum was good back in 2018. But then Cardano, I think, is a new and dynamic layer 1 blockchain. Now, Cardano is not the newest layer 1 blockchain out there. There's a lot of flashy new layer 1 blockchains. But when it comes to Cardano, despite launching ages ago, it feels like the fundamentals, they're still up there, which is kind of insane to think about. And you got to take a look at the trajectory for Bitcoin. It's heading in such an amazing direction. Also, you take a look at, the trajectory for ADA. As of right now, people are thinking, okay, $20. A lot of people are saying this. But for me, throughout this whole time, I've been saying $10 when it comes to ADA. I'm going to stick by that. Now, the potential upside from this point on to go to the price of $10 really isn't that great, I'll be honest. But let's say doing an additional over 8x from right here, considering how much ADA is pumped, by the way, I don't think is actually that bad. And now some people like to say, oh, it's game over, all this type of stuff. Well, I haven't given up. And a lot of people like to say, oh, wow, it sucks. It's game over because the potential upside is so bad. Now, again, I'm not saying it's the best out there from as of right now, but I'm still dollar cost averaging into ADA. I'm still acquiring anytime an income, holding and just waiting, because I really do believe that ADA could at least go to the price of $10 during this bull run. And considering how much I've already accumulated when it comes to ADA, keep in mind, I've been accumulating ever since 2021, adding more. I don't see why not. I'm sticking with my strategy that I've been doing throughout the whole time. Throughout that whole time, right, when things were boring, when things were caca, especially in 2022, also 2023, during those times, I didn't give up because I was like, okay, why not, right? Lower down my average cost, accumulate more ADA, and just wait for better days ahead. And I did exactly that. And I still haven't sold any ADA because I think that, 2025 could very well be the time to shine. Now, this is just hypothetical, but even Charles Hoskinson, he has grand visions for, what Bitcoin could be in terms of the price prediction. He viewed it as anywhere between $250,000 to $500,000. So could you imagine that? And this is not in the next 10 years or whatever. This was back in November 26 when he said that in the next 1 or 2 years, he could very well see that happening. Again, $250,000 to $500,000 when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin, let's say, in a most bullish case scenario, were to go to $500,000, which I think is highly unlikely, but again, you never know in the world of cryptocurrencies. Let's say it does that. Really, ADA at the price of $10, that would be easy peasy. I think ADA would far exceed that at that point. But even besides that, let's say even we use the worst case example, 250,000, man, $10 I still think is hypothetically very easily achievable. So anyway, take a look at it. I think brighter days are ahead when it comes to, ADA. Now, some people like to say that, oh, when it comes to Cardano, it's not going to have the best adoption in the next 6 months to a year. It doesn't really matter in my opinion, because during a fully fledged bull run, people don't care. Think about this, right? What had better adoption? Cardano back in 2021 or Cardano right now? As of right now, arguably Cardano, hands down, has the best adoption I think we've ever seen in history, right? But then why isn't the price of ADA above the price of $3 or something like that? Well, it's because sometimes in the world of cryptocurrencies, people don't really care about adoption. Let's be honest, in 2021, the adoption of Cardano compared to right now is actually complete caca. Even despite me being very bullish on Cardano, I have to say that because as of right now, it's just a lot better. But then again, the price is often not an accurate representation as to how well its adoption is doing. So again, during a fully fledged bull run, people don't really care. They care more about the anticipation of what it could be. And when it comes to Cardano, I don't see why the anticipation would be bad. Not only is it an amazing layer 1 blockchain with a growing ecosystem, which developers are not giving up on, by the way. You take a look at how there's currently, over 2,000 projects, building and thriving on Cardano. So it's not like it's bad whatsoever. Not to mention as well, it doesn't have to rely on these Kaka layer 2s, much like Ethereum. Ethereum has to rely on these layer 2s because why? The gas fees are a complete issue. I mean, it's a big no bueno. Also on top of that, you take a look at scalability. I mean, caralho, porra. This is not acceptable when it comes to a layer 1 blockchain. If something Kaka like Ethereum can make it as long as it has, if it can survive this long, if it can actually do this well, and it have this much fans, have that much projects be built on it, it gives me great confidence that something like Cardano is not going to do bad, right? I think it's going to do very amazing because imagine if like a Honda is beating every car in a race. Imagine once the Ferrari steps in. Imagine once the Lamborghini steps in. That's totally game, set, match right there. Ethereum, it's like a Honda, or should I say like a Nissan GTR. I just never understood like a Nissan GTR. I was like, why would I get a Nissan for over 100 grand? Like it makes no sense. So let's say I get a Nissan GTR and then someone pulls up beside me with a Nissan Altima. Then what, we both have a Nissan? I mean, caralho, porra, I get it, it's a GTR, but come on. That's just the way I take a look at it. If I'm spending over 100 grand on a vehicle, it better not be a Nissan. At least that's the way I take a look at it. I also never understood the hype for like a Lexus LFA or whatever, but yeah, besides that point, we're getting a little bit off topic here, but the way I take a look at it is that Cardano, it's just a very amazing layer 1 blockchain. That's the gist of it, right? And when it comes to ADA, its native token, even going to the price of $10, the market cap wouldn't be crazy at all. Considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $350 billion. That's still over $200 billion less than Ethereum's all-time high market cap. I mean, could you believe that? I mean, Ethereum, again, like it even reached that back in 2021. It's not even that dynamic, even as of right now. It wasn't good back then. It's not good right now. It was good back in like 2018, but like who cares about that? That's like basically 7 years ago at this point. I mean, considering how close we are to 2025. So the way I view it is that Cardano is just a lot more dynamic. Ethereum, I've never understood it. I've never decided to say, yeah, man, I'm going to acquire Ethereum. No, that's never crossed my mind. And also on top of that, it never crossed my mind to acquire any Bitcoin because I'm not into dinosaurs. I'm much more into these amazing altcoins, much like ADA. Some people out there, they want to, rave about, Bitcoin and all this type of stuff. Well, for me, if I was like a head of a large scale enterprise, I'll be like, no, we're not acquiring any Bitcoin. We're not acquiring any Ethereum, amazing projects only that have better room for growth. Like for instance, Cardano's native token called ADA, H-bar, right? I made a very good call on that as well. I would even acquire meme coins because, I think it's pretty good as well, too. Take a look at even SNEC, a Cardano meme coin that I made a very good call on, by the way. Come on, right? I think that when it comes to ADA, it's going to take time for it to gain recognition, but, I think good things do take time and patience, and I'm willing to stay patient because I think around 6 months to a year from right now, Cardano, man, it could very well have much more hype, much more attention, and actually, say a token called ADA, reaching the price of $10 at that point, I don't see why not. I don't think this one's going to be bad. At least that's the way to take a look at it. Now, some people like to ask me, okay, why do you hold this like mic, in your hand, right? Well, first of all, it's because I actually have a bunch of stands, but I just felt like if I use a stand, usually like the mic's like down here, and then I sometimes forget that, it's not that close to my mouth, and then I'm like, okay, then the audio becomes really caca, if that makes sense. But then some people are like, oh, why don't you switch it up, like hold it with your right hand or whatever. It's because I'm left-handed. So then it feels a little bit better like this. But yeah, even besides that point, this is just to address the comment. People keep saying, oh, you need to get a stand, all this type of stuff. Well, I just like it better like this. You know what I mean? It makes me feel like a rock star. I'm just joking, but you know what I mean, right? It just feels a little bit better. But yeah, even besides that point, ADA at the price of $10 during this bull run really wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.